You're listening to the Global Travel Channel podcast show, a podcast that shares travel experiences from across the world. Your host for the show is Mark Philpott, ex-global corporate executive, philanthropist, publisher, filmmaker, sportsman, and serial traveler. Mark sits down with guests from across the world and talks about their up-close and personal travel experiences. And we get to understand how travel changes people's lives. Here's your host, Mark Philpott.
Oh yeah, welcome back everyone. It's great to have you here. My name's Mark Philpott. I am the guy behind the Global Travel Channel. If you haven't tuned into us before, it's a fantastic show where I get to speak to incredible people across the world about their travel experiences. We also have a couple of series that we feature each month. One is on wellness, very appropriate for these times, and another one is on food. We talk about food and we cook up recipes from all over the world. So that's what you get here on the Global Travel Channel. If you're here for the first time, do go to our website, globaltravelchannel.com, and check out all of the previous episodes. There's over 150 plus episodes there for you to listen to. Amazing people who have done incredible travel experiences. We get up and personal with our guests. We don't just talk about travel destinations, we talk about how travel changes people's lives, how it changes their perception of the world, and how we grow respect for each other. So today we're going to head into another episode of the Wellness series with Natalie and Jessica. So let's get over and meet the ladies right now. So hello and welcome back to the Global Travel Channel Wellness series. Today I've got the two wonderful, well, they're exceptionally wonderful ladies, these two. We've got Natalie and Jessica with us again today. Hello ladies, how are you both?
Hey Mark, doing
Hi,
well.
Mark. It's going good.
Now, are you still both in the same countries we left you last time? Where are you today, Jess?
Yes, I'm still in the US of A in Naples, Florida.
Naples, Florida, beautiful. And you're staying coronavirus free?
So far, so good.
That's good. And you're wearing a mask every time you go out?
Not every time, where it's required, yes, but I am following guidelines as far as, staying 6 feet apart. But when I'm outside, I feel pretty safe.
Well, that's very good. It's only 10:30 in the morning here in Australia, and I think I've washed my hands about 100 times already today. And trying to keep the hygiene going. What about you, Nat? Where are you at the moment?
I am still based in Colombia. I am back in the city. I'm in Medellin. I think on the last episode, I was at the farm in Colombia. I was about 40 minutes outside of the city, which was great for about 2.5 weeks. And now I am back in Medellin.
Did you have a lot of farm animals out there on the farm?
We had chickens, so we had fresh eggs. There were cows. I didn't personally take care of the cows, but we got fresh milk every day. So fresh veggies delivered to us, all organic. So it was a very, very nice little break from city life.
Fantastic. Do you know that cows are colorblind?
They are? Oh, I think I heard that.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Oh, poor things.
So they won't worry about what you're wearing. They won't tell you you're wearing a bad color ever because they don't see it.
Exactly. They like my shade.
Yeah,
you have a nice shade today.
You have a nice shade on, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're going to be talking about, the title of the show is Wander Within the Workplace, which is fantastic because we have a lot of people around the world at the moment who are, working from home for the first time perhaps, or their working conditions have changed dramatically. So it's a really good idea for the show today. So I thought I'd start off by asking you both a question related to workplaces and that. Have you got a funny story about a particular workplace that you worked in that something happened that you can share with the listeners today?
Oh, yes, I do. Oh my goodness, this is like back in 2010. I was working on a movie set, and it was actually the movie Footloose. And I was a personal assistant at the time, and it was a late night shoot. It was like 2 a.m. And I was talking with who was I talking to? Maybe with one of the actors or producers. And then I was inside one of the actresses' trailers because I was an assistant. And I was so tired. I was beyond exhausted. I think I had too many cupcakes to try to get my sugar levels up. and I I opened up the trailer door with holding my computer, and I took a step out of the trailer and I completely missed the step. And I flew Superman holding my computer. It was totally fine through the air, and I landed on the ground in front of all of the producers and the director. And the producer just looks at me, and he had worked with an actress. I'm not a very, very, very famous high profile actress before. I'm not going to I won't name any names, who used to, she was actually, this is bad, but she used to be high, and she would fly out of her trailer. And he was like, oh my gosh, you just pulled a XYZ when name her name. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. They related me to this like crazy actress. And I just like flew out in front of the whole cast and the whole set. And I just was like, I don't know. It was just pretty mortifying. And I was 23 at the time, and it was a very high profile scene.
Did they ask you to do it again to get it on tape?
You know what? If it was on YouTube, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I somehow saved my computer, so flew through the air, landed on the ground. The actress was in her trailer, famous person, whole crew, and the producer just looked at me and was like, "You remind me of this one actress," and I just was like, This is so embarrassing. Like, I'm never gonna get hired again. But yeah, it was insane.
That's a great story. Now, you got everybody trying to work out who the actress is, and I think I know who it is, so I'm going to take a stab. Is it Cameron Diaz?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, but very high profile. And it wasn't Cameron Diaz. But a little background about me: I did used to work on movie sets. I think we had talked about the show. So that was a pretty embarrassing moment of time. I have a few embarrassing moments, actually.
Did you ever come out of a celebrity's trailer high, Nat?
No, I didn't. I was still doing my mindfulness, but that's just a little background. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's what they thought of me. I know. It was really insane.
What about you, Jess? Do you have a funny workplace story that you can share with us?
Yeah, it's interesting that because mine happened in 2010 as well. So I was working for this company in Midtown in Atlanta, and they just got this beautiful new office space. It was a high rise. It was windows everywhere, like even the interior. Everything was just glass windows. And I was late for a meeting, and I had my coffee, and I had my laptop, and I'm racing away. And the cleaning crew had cleaned these glass windows so good, like even the doors were glass. I thought it was just open. And here I come into this huge boardroom filled with all these CEOs and high-level executives, and I smash my face, my coffee, my laptop.
My God.
Right into the door. And it was so bad that even like my face print, like the oil, like was like on the door. There was no recovering from it. Like everyone like jumped up and had to help me, and I had to kind of regain my confidence a little bit. But it was funny later. I think at first people were a little afraid I might have hurt myself, but afterwards, like we all laughed, and it was a good time.
There's no turning back after that.
I know. He's got to roll with it.
Yeah.
I actually felt that, Jess. I actually felt that when you were saying that. That really hurt.
Yes, and the worst part, I messed up the cleaning crews. Like I spilled coffee. I had my oily face on the door. Like
Goodness,
felt very bad.
I'm sure they recovered, but there seems to be a theme to both your stories that you're both carrying laptops when you had these accidents. So stop carrying laptops around.
I know.
That might be the message in the story. Stop carrying laptops around while you're doing things.
They're dangerous. Focus.
Right, let's get on to... Thank you for sharing those stories. They're both a couple of great stories there. Let's get on to today's theme, and let's talk about the importance of incorporating health and wellness in the workplace. How important is it to be more conscious of wellness in the workplace?
Well, it is... For me, it is so important. And going even back to the job I had, that story, I overworked myself on that job. That was the job where I was like, I can't live like this. I can't believe I'm working 24/7 and burning myself into the ground. And it took a massive, massive toll on my health. So that was like the pinnacle of I needed to make a change, and there has to be a better work-life balance. And I saw it for moving forward in the movie industry with my employees and my colleagues.
Yeah, I think in terms of the whole, it's something that's underestimated, isn't it? The importance of being healthy in the workplace, because it has such a big impact on your productivity, your creativity, all the components that make up a healthy lifestyle at work. Jess, what's your take on the importance of incorporating health and wellness in the workplace?
Yeah, I agree, especially in today's times when most people, if they are working, they're working from home. So again, those lines between your work-life, home-life balance are completely blurred. So I feel like people are always on, they're feeling overworked. They don't have enough time to get their work done because, they're also maybe parents or there's other things going on at the house, and they're just feeling a lot of stress. They're not sure how to put together a new routine that kind of incorporates their digital life and their work life. And so I definitely feel like getting these health and wellness programs set in place is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think despite the fact that we're in a terrible global pandemic at the moment with lots of people being affected, a lot of people have been, have been coming to the end of their life as a result of this, which is tragic. But it's also opening the door to a lot of opportunities when it comes to health and wellness. And I think from a workplace point of view, a lot of people at the moment who are having to work from home for the first time in their lives, they may have more time where they don't have a commute to deal with every day. They've got more time that they can focus on themselves. So I think this current point in time is a really good time for people to start adopting new health and wellness routines. And what would you say is the easiest way of adding a new wellness routine to your day, Nat?
You know what, I think the easiest way of adding into a routine is finding something that vibes with you and that you have an interest in, and scheduling time in your day for it. A lot of times where I think we don't accomplish maybe what we want to accomplish, which includes putting ourselves first, is in nowadays we're stressed, we think we don't have time, we don't know really where to start. So even if it's scheduling in the morning, just 10 minutes to do a meditation or 10 minutes for yoga, even 10 minutes just to be creative. If you like to draw, if you want to take, a bath and light a candle, whatever that means to you, just scheduling in that time and really following through with it, and see if you can do that for at least 2 weeks so it becomes a habit. So starting small is key if you have no wellness routine in place.
Yeah, terrific advice. What about you, Jess? What have you got to add to that part?
So as far as baby steps go, step number 1 to your wellness routine, drink 8 to 16 ounces of room temperature spring water first thing when you wake up. If you want to talk about energy and setting the stage to make healthy habits throughout the day, that is the best way to do it. It will really change the way you feel in the mornings and just help you be more productive.
Yeah, I think that's really important in terms of taking small steps, Nat, because it's like when somebody wants to start a business, they may think, okay, there's so much to do about starting a business, but actually the greatest thing you can do when you start a business and taking small steps is actually don't start the business.
That's
and
true.
It sounds counterintuitive, but what you should actually do is spend a lot of time doing research about the business and the industry that you want to start your business in. And then if you start doing that, the whole idea of starting a business doesn't take on such a grand picture and overwhelming you. And it's same with wellness and that. Don't look at how you think you're going to feel a year down the track. Start with some small things. It might be like Jess said, take some water in the morning. Just start that and start seeing the impact that has on you. So I'm all big on the small steps thing. I think it's a great idea.
And I can relate to that, Mark. I did that with myself, with my business too. So anyone out there who wants to start, it's starting really small and one step at a time, but just doing it.
Yeah, and the more opportunity you get from celebrating your milestones along the way, it gives you that momentum and inspiration to keep going as well. So, same with your health and wellness. If you start seeing results immediately from the little things that you're doing, it'll give you a lot of energy to keep on going and make bigger changes. So let's talk about burnout, because a lot of people have come out of this COVID-19 situation and they think, wow, I didn't really understand how busy I was at work. I had no time to myself during the day. I was full on all the time, and then I had to go and take the kids to soccer practice and I never had any time. Now they're realizing that they probably were burnt out. So how do we avoid burnout?
So for me, I definitely think creating space in your calendar. The worst thing you can do is have back-to-back-to-back meetings if you're working from home. You have to have breathing room. That's how the creative side of your brain works. And when you're just constantly bouncing back and forth in between meetings, you don't give your brain the time that it needs. So I definitely think creating space is one good step. I also recommend only doing 1 cup of coffee per day, because if you are not listening to your body and pushing yourself too hard and just fighting through with caffeine, you're going to end up crashing, and that is going to lead to burnout because you're not listening to when your body wants to rest. So I think, 1 cup of coffee is awesome. Maybe 2 if you're not sensitive to caffeine, but yeah, definitely limiting the caffeine will help.
Are you a caffeine drinker, Jess?
I do, yes. I think there's a healthy way to drink it. I don't recommend drinking it on an empty stomach because that's going to spike your cortisol immediately. I recommend starting your day with water, having maybe bone broth, a nice smoothie, something that's easy on digestion, and then once you get a little something in your stomach, then have your coffee.
Okay. What about you, Nat? What do we do to avoid burnout?
A few things that come to mind, and like a point that has struck a chord with me over the years, is working 24/7 and burning yourself to the ground does not necessarily mean success. It does not have to equate success. That's something that's engraved with us in Western society, especially, that we have to grind in order to be successful. Another thing too is to set boundaries. Set boundaries with yourself, set boundaries with your coworkers. Don't take on more you can handle. It's okay to say no, and even set boundaries with your boss. I think that's a big thing where a lot of people, maybe they don't really know where their boundaries lie at work. And it's really being aware of that and sticking to what you're doing and not crossing that line.
Yeah, I think there's some good points there. And also I think we have to acknowledge cultural impact here, because cultural impact has a lot on burnout when it comes to the workplace. I've had the blessings of working in many countries around the world, and I've noticed in a lot of different countries and the culture within that country how hard people work. And if you look at countries like India and Singapore, where the midnight oil is burned all the time, the United States, you're not seen as a success in the United States unless you're working 24/7, and that doesn't have to be the case. And on the flip side, if you go to countries like New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, you'll see that people have a more balanced lifestyle when it comes to work, and you probably see less burnout in those cultures. So it can also be a cultural thing, and it can be difficult because if you're living in amongst a certain culture that has that expectation around how much you work, it can be difficult. But again, I go to the opportunity we all have now, that working from home, you can set your own culture around work, and you can now set in new guidelines for yourself. The other thing that's important that I want to talk to you both about today is healthy eating. And of course, we know that nutrition is a very important part of wellness within the workplace and keeping our energy levels up during the day. Jess, what's some of your advice around this one?
Yes, so as I kind of touched on before, I think starting your day off right is so important. So I definitely recommend something that's easier on your digestive tract, starting with a nice antioxidant full smoothie or a nice bone broth. Anything with blueberries. Blueberries are amazing because, again, they're full of antioxidants. They stimulate the flow of blood and oxygen to your brain, which is going to make you more focused. If you are sensitive to a lot of caffeine, green tea is another great thing that you can do to really keep you focused at work. It contains both caffeine and L-Theanine, which I'll talk about a little bit later. That's one of my favorite nootropics. Any leafy green vegetable is awesome. The greener, the better. Fatty fishes are going to be amazing for those beautiful omega-3s. Those are going to aid in your memory and mental performance. And then one of my favorite newbies on the block is beets. If you can get some beets in, it's great because they contain nitrates, which dilate the blood vessels and kind of, again, increase that blood flow to keep you thinking and keep your performance high. So those are some of my favorite ones. Any questions about those?
No, I was going to throw in a glass of water with a teaspoon of honey in it.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
definitely.
Have you tried that?
No. Yum.
Well, it's been scientifically proven that with and we're talking about, and it's very important here because if you understand the properties of honey actually reacts differently in the way that it's served. So if you put honey in food when you're cooking, it actually turns to poison. A lot of people don't know this, but if you're cooking honey in a cake, for instance, it'll actually turn to a poisonous residue. If you heat honey too high, that's when it lets out the poison inside of it. So what the key to having honey doing the most efficient thing for your body is making sure that it's always served at room temperature. So when you have a glass of water, just make sure it's lukewarm. It's not to be boiling because, again, it'll turn it into a poisonous property. But if you have it as a lukewarm property, it'll actually help you open up the regeneration of your cells in your body, and you'll start to feel amazing during the day. So my tip is a glass of water in the morning, as Jess was saying, but put a teaspoon of honey in it and drink that down, and you'll notice an enormous difference from day one. There we are.
Well, I'm going to try that tomorrow. That sounds awesome.
You try that tomorrow. What do you got, Nat? What are your favorite healthy food tips for people in the workplace? Gummy bears? Can we have gummy bears?
Oh my gosh, Starburst? No, just the cherry ones. No, just kidding. So some things that have definitely helped me. Well, if you're working from home, a lot of the foods that Jess had mentioned, this is a great time to really look into what you're putting into your body and doing some research, because that's the beauty of cooking from home, right? We know what we're eating, and we have the opportunity to look at the good fats, the bad fats, instead of mindlessly going out to eat all the time. But what I love, like two of my little tips are, because I know snacking is a big thing for everybody, especially with stress, especially if you're sitting at the office or sitting in your home. And my favorite snacks to go to, they're nuts, but they're unsalted. So make sure you get raw, like raw almonds, walnuts, cashews, but there's no salt, so they're really just raw. And to prevent yourself from maybe overeating nuts, which I have definitely have a little too many almonds in my past, is creating snack packs, and just where you create little packs or little baggies of snacks that you know how much is going into them, and you know how much you can eat instead of just mindlessly eating out of a bag. And that goes with any other snacks that you want. Maybe it's half an apple with some nuts, which is really great. And it's really, really good to eat fruit and nuts as well, because they balance each other out. But snack packs to limit the food that you're eating and mindlessly, I guess you should say, snacking on is a tip.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's an interesting conversation here, because I think we're getting into that area now where people can say, well, some things work for me, other things don't. You've got to experiment. And I've just gone through an enormous change in my own nutritional plan. What I found, I used to be the guy that had a bag of chips going during the day and a block of chocolate, and all the naughty things were going into my mouth. That was for sure. I've now arrived at a place where I don't have any snacks at all during the day, and I've been able to do that because of my nutrition plan. And my body is getting energized by eating the fat, the pure fat that I'm putting into my body, and I'm not creating these sugar spikes that I was even getting from fruit, Nat. So I'm interested to hear you talking about fruit, because a lot of fruits have got high levels of natural sugar in them, and they can actually kick off the insulin and give you a bit of a spike going. So I went cold turkey on this, so I actually got to a stage where I stopped snacking, and I don't have any snacks now at all during the day at all, and I find that works for me. But I'm not, I think nuts are great. I think nuts are a really good piece of advice, and the raw nuts in particular, and also macadamia nuts have been scientifically proven to be one of the best nuts that you can have as well. Do you eat macadamias?
So good.
Nat?
I do. I have them here. I have them in my apartment. And even what you said about the fruit is the best time to eat, always before lunch. Never eat it after lunch.
Yeah, right. Good advice there. Good advice. Now, I want to talk about yoga and meditation, and I want to go back to 10 years ago when I left the corporate world. And it was really funny because I used to say to my boss, my last boss that I had, I used to say, wouldn't it be good if we could get a massage or meditate in the office during the day? And I was looked at as if I was from another planet back then. And nowadays it's becoming something that's a lot more, let's say, not only acceptable, but it's something that you're starting to find creeping in a lot of businesses. So tell us about both of your experiences with yoga and meditation when it comes to starting and ending your day when it comes to work.
Sure. So let's see, yoga and meditation. Well, I know I've talked to you about this, Mark, in so many ways of how it's changed my life completely. But the wonderful thing about yoga and meditation, it's now scientifically proven to decrease the secretion of cortisol, which is our primary stress hormone in our body. So if we wake up and we meditate or we do yoga, we're automatically starting our day less stressful. We're able to walk into our day without having that noise and being affected by the noise around us. So there's so many amazing benefits. You know, it lowers your blood pressure, your BMI, cholesterol levels, stimulates brain function. It even helps with lower back pain. So if you're going to work and sit at your desk every day, it does alleviate a lot of the back pain, and it's also scientifically proven to manage depression. So if you put your day starting with that yoga, starting with that meditation, you're setting a tone. You're putting, not only are you doing something extremely helpful for you, but you're putting that intention out there, because meditation trains the brain to achieve sustained focus and return to that focus when negative thinking, emotions, or physical sensations intrude throughout the day. And that's what happens when you feel stressed or anxious. So you're not only training your mind to be in a more calm state, but you're putting that intention out there that no matter what happens in the world around you, what happens during your workday, you can tackle problems with more clarity.
Yeah, beautiful. Jess, got anything to add?
Yeah, I think the best part about starting and ending your day with meditation is, again, it kind of goes back to listening to your body and actually being in the here and now. So in the US, we had this funny saying, like the Sunday scaries. You had you're so worried and anxious about going into the workday the next day and your big to-do list of everything you have to do, when that really doesn't exist. Like, that's in the future. Like, all you have is the here and the now. And the important thing is to calm the body, calm the mind, and like you said, Mark, visualize how you want your day to go. Visualize that it's not going to be a scary day, that it's going to be a productive, balanced, everything's going to happen peacefully and smoothly type of day. So again, I think it's just really focusing on being in the here and now and getting back in touch with yourself. As well with the yoga piece, I think gently stretching your body before you kind of get up and get going, as well as before you go to bed, that has amazing health benefits as well.
Do you both know what the meaning of the word yoga is?
Yoga means union.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, spot on. Did you know that, Jess?
No, actually, I did not.
There you go. You do now.
Two new
Yoga means
things.
union. Look, the other thing, I want to add a couple of little bits to this part of the conversation, and I think it's important for people that haven't experienced yoga or meditation a lot in their lives. And like a lot of things in this world, the commercialization of these things have led it down a different path to what it was originally developed as, and where it's actually come from, the roots of yoga. And that's why I asked if you knew what the actual word meant. If you go back into the history of yoga, there was no hot stone yoga and all these other things that have been commercialized for us to get into in these days. So, look up the basics of where yoga originated from and actually go back to the grassroots. And same with meditation. There's a lot of, there wasn't guided meditation in the beginning of time. That's not how meditation started. That's been something that's been commercialized, and guided meditation may not be the right one for you. So again, please experiment with what works for you, because the chances are, if you're going to find something that works for you, you're going to keep it going for longer. And just on starting your day, look, I think that what's really important is there's a lot of emphasis on how many hours sleep we get a night and all the rest of it. I can tell from experience that it's not about when you get up in the morning, it's about how you get up in the morning. And the how is related to the attitude that you bring into your day. And I've always been a morning guy. And when I get up and I go and do my exercise, and I can't stress enough how important a regular positive routine is to start your day off. So if you're somebody who doesn't like exercise and you don't want to get out there and go for a walk and, you know, take some physical endurance, then do what Nat said before and just take 10 minutes aside for yourself and put yourself into the right frame of mind to start your day. And it was interesting what you just said, Jess, because I know there's millions of people around the world that get cranky on a Sunday afternoon. And we can't avoid it sometimes because we're thinking about all those things that we've got to do the next day. But that's exactly the time where you should start to meditate and actually clear your mind of these stresses. So I'm a really big proponent on starting your day off with the right attitude, because if you do that, you'll find that your day goes down a very positive channel rather than attracting negative energy. So what about routines? Because, you know, I've just talked about a morning routine. When it comes to work routines, Nat, what's some advice around that for people?
Well, it's funny, Mark, you actually touched on a point that I was going to bring up, especially with this question, is when you wake up in the morning to start your day with your part of your routine and part of your work routine, go into your day as if it's the first time you're experiencing it. Because of a lot of the times when we go into our work routine, we go into, you know, our life routine, we find it mundane and we know what to expect. And when we're over expecting, or we kind of know what to expect in what Jess harped upon, we're missing that present moment. So when you experience a day, even if it is your work routine, experience that routine as it's really the first day of the rest of your life. But experiencing it for the first time brings about more happiness and joy in your communications and the way you interact with people. It also presents more synchronicities within itself. So say you're super stressed at work. If you go into your work routine that day and you block off that time and you go into it in the present, and it's just, I'm experiencing this for the first time, something shifts and something changes and you find more in alignment, you find yourself a little bit more happy, and then maybe that deal you want comes through, or this work opportunity you've been thinking about like pops on the computer. You start to notice more signs. I don't know if that completely answered your question, but that's what totally came to me when you said work routine, is having the mindset.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'm going to throw it straight to Jess because I'm sure she's got some great ones to add.
Yeah, and just as far as your actual work routine, there's some things that I just encourage people. You know, number one, do not eat your lunch at your desk. Please get up, get out in nature, sit down at the table with your family if they happen to be home with you. Be mindful with the food, offer gratitude. That's one big thing. Another big thing that a lot of people talk about is taking those little breaks, you know, like every 20 or 30 minutes to, if you don't even move your physical body, to at least move your eyes. There's so much eye strain right now. Like, our eyes were never meant to focus on one place for so long. So take those breaks away from your digital screens. Get up and move your body. I recommend every 20 to 30 minutes. And I try to gamify my day. So I try to be like, what things can I get done in these 20, 30 minute increments? And then give myself a little break. Also, just building in a little walk after lunch is amazing. I mean, you could get a mile in 15 minutes. I do it all the time. Like, I'll break up 3 little 15-minute, breaks, and I'll end up with 3 miles. And again, I'm kind of gamifying and playing with myself, but it's nice to build these into your work day.
There's some great tips there. I like that one. Getting out and going for a walk. That's fantastic. I'd like to throw one in there as well, and that is something that's against our human psychology a lot of the time, and that is get those difficult tasks and the ones that you've been putting to the side out of the way straight away. Tackle those things. Don't put them off any longer. Don't procrastinate over them. Tackle them, get them out of the way, and you know what? By taking on a difficult task and getting it done, you make yourself feel so much better about achieving that, and then everything else is a breeze because you've got the hard stuff out of the way. So start off with the hard stuff, tackle the biggest goals first, and get them out of the way as soon as you possibly can, and then you'll find everything else goes into a nice flow. Now, we've talked about healthy food and nutrition is important when it comes to the workplace. What about supplements? Are there any supplements that we should be taking that can enhance our healthy lifestyle as well, Jess?
So one that I really like as far as for focus and to kind of ease you out is L-Theanine, which again is a nootropic. It's a cognitive enhancer. It's wonderful. There's actually a biohack where you can do pretty much an 8-ounce cup of coffee with 200 milligrams of L-Theanine. And it's this beautiful way to kind of take out the jitters of caffeine, but really get you into this state of focus for those big tasks you were just talking about, Mark, that you really need to knock out first. That's a great way to do it. I also am a huge supporter of nutritional yeast. I don't know if you guys eat nutritional yeast, but sprinkle it on your salad, put it in your soups, eat it on your eggs. This stuff is naturally packed with so many B vitamins. You'll kind of be completely energized. I do not recommend that you have it at dinner because you won't be able to sleep. But if you need some extra energy in the day, I highly recommend that.
Yeah, brilliant. What about you, Nat? Any special supplements that you can recommend?
Do you know what? My favorite is it's good old vitamin C. I actually notice a huge difference when I take it and when I don't take it. It has many bodily functions. Like, well, one, it just makes your skin brighter. Like you look more alive, you look more bright. And I started taking this actually because I had a bad scar and I was advised to take vitamin C, and it helps with wound healing, and it helps with your bones, your teeth. It helps repair all of your body tissues. But then I saw the other benefits of it. It does help manage high blood pressure. It reduces the risk of heart disease. There's just so many overall. It helps prevent iron deficiency. So for me, it boosts immunity. So for me, vitamin C is a big one that I actually have started to notice the difference when I take it and when I don't take it.
Brilliant. What I'll get you both to do is we'll list all these supplements that you've just spoken about in the show notes today for people so they can get easy access to those. Now, obviously not all jobs are good fit for us when it comes to our health. So what are your thoughts around, making sure that you have a job that's good for you from a health perspective?
Well, I think at this time, it's definitely a very good time to evaluate and see how happy we are with our health and with our work. Because our work should be enjoyable. It should not be something we want to escape from. Of course, there's going to be hard times, even when we start our own business or when we're doing our own projects. And of course, there's going to be resistance and scary things. But if we're in a job where it makes us feel sick and we feel ill, it's time to reevaluate. And I think a lot of people are going to come out of this whole lockdown experience looking back and saying, wow, I am grateful that I don't have that job anymore, or wow, I am grateful that I was able to make that change and I was able to make that shift, and really even though the times were hard, I learned through those hard times. But if you're doing a job that really makes you feel physically ill, and this is another big one too, Mark, is we feel it in our bodies. If you have stomach pains all the time or bad headaches, really look at where that's stemming from, because a lot of that can be emotional and it can be stress from work related.
Yeah, fantastic. I think in terms of, we're also in a situation at the moment, let's face it, a lot of people are being laid off from their jobs, and there's a lot of anxiety in our communities over all sorts of different reasons. How do we deal with that kind of stress when, we've got financial pressures, we've got all these other pressures that are being put on us because the job's just not there anymore?
So
yeah,
I think one big step, because of course you're going to be fearful. It's a very uncertain time. People are being laid off. And so a good exercise is to write down all of those fears and the worst outcome. Because typically what happens is it's not going to be the worst outcome. And if you can see what you think in your mind that is, you can begin to figure out, okay, well, how can I solve for this problem? I also feel like now is a time when there's so many solopreneurs and entrepreneurs emerging. So, if you are facing this point where you're laid off, looking to places like Upwork, looking to Facebook groups, different things where entrepreneurs and solopreneurs are taking off is another good opportunity. And kind of just switching your mindset from that fear to, okay, this is opening up new avenues in the digital space, or for maybe me to do what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's great. Nat, what about you? What are your thoughts around this?
I think with hard times, depending on how you look on it, is immense growth. And it's learning where to find the silver lining in the situation, and learning new tools to help you shift your mindset from a place of fear into a place of abundance, or in a different place in your life. Which is definitely easier said than done, but taking on that challenge of really utilizing, okay, I'm in this really hard time. I am so stressed. I have a family to feed. Again, so understandable of going to that fear-based place, but finding the strength to overcome that and reaching out to friends, even asking for help, like what Jess said, looking online, really finding what rings true for you and what you want to attract, and really learning the tools of how to shift out of that mindset. Because once you learn how to do that, you can really overcome anything. Once you take on the tools and learn to grow.
Yeah, beautifully put. Look, I want to add this bit to this, because I think there's so much bad news out there at the moment in terms of what the impact of this global pandemic is having. We're not hearing, and I actually wrote an email yesterday to CNN and Fox News contributors, and I said to them, how about we start showing how many new businesses are starting around the world as a result of COVID-19? Because all we're hearing about is how many people have been made unemployed, how many businesses are closing down. But I'm actually linked to the other world, and I'm linked to the world where there's enormous amount of business opportunity going on right now. There's so many new businesses starting, so many of them are exciting. The girls and I were only talking about before the show started today how we're going to develop a collaboration together as a result of what we're already doing on this podcast. The future looks great. The future looks bright. There's so much opportunity out there for us all to go and get. We've just got to want to see it, and we've got to go after it and chase it. So I would say, instead of looking at the negative press and looking at a lot of the negative media, which leads to anxiety and leads to this fear factor, start looking in those places that Jess just talked about, and looking at online groups where there are a lot of positive innovations going on right now. There's a lot of new jobs starting. There's a lot of new companies starting up. And there might be something there that really fits into your warehouse. Who knows? It could be the passion that you've been looking for your entire lifetime, right?
Exactly.
Oh, of course. And Mark, thank you for doing that. I'm now inspired, because the people in my life know how I feel about the news and the media and the fear-based mentality. So that was very valuable advice.
One other thing I want to share, and I guess it kind of summarizes and encapsulates all that we're talking about today, because a lot of what we're talking about with health and workplace and starting again and all the rest of it comes down to removing those excuses from our life. And I recently came across a really cool thing, and I like what you said before, Jess, about playing a game and making everything into a bit of a game. Well, I came across something that I'm calling the NASA effect. That's right, NASA as in the space agency. Mm-hmm. And it's a very simple process that's scientifically proven that actually works. So I want you to try this next time. So what happens is, when we come up with an idea, what our minds typically does is says, no, it's not going to be good for us. And we create this negative thought, and we come up with excuses. And how many times have we all done this, right? We thought, I'm going to go and do this. And then we thought, no, I've come up with an excuse why I shouldn't go and do it. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why that happens. And that is because our natural process as a human species is that our brain is there to protect us from anything that could be a risk. And it doesn't like us taking risks. So the way to get around that is this, and I've used this and it works. Every time you want to make a decision in your life, and it might be starting a new wellness program, it might be doing meditation or yoga, and all of a sudden your brain's going to kick into coming up with an excuse why you shouldn't do it. Before your brain has time to come up with that excuse, so after you've had the thought, count down from 5 to 1. So that's the NASA effect. Count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by actually doing that, you engage the other side of your brain that actually puts you into a positive state, and you're going to go and do whatever that decision was that you're going to do. It's quite phenomenal how it works, actually. So try that. Next time you come up with a decision that you want to make in your life about anything, before you come up with the excuse on why you shouldn't do it, count down from 5 to 0 and actually go and do it, because you will. That'll be the impact. There you go, the NASA effect.
Love it.
Can't wait to try it.
And it works with everything. So
And
there we go.
One thing I do want to add to, Mark, just to this is, if you are feeling stressed or uncertain, a great thing to do is just be of service. You know, anytime you're feeling uncertain, if you can be of service to someone else, it just ripples out. It makes such a difference in your feelings. So I definitely recommend that.
I love that, because let's face it, there's probably the situation around the world at the moment where there's always someone worse off than yourself. And if we're able to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes for a minute, then we start feeling better about what we actually have and being more grateful for what we have. So thank you for sharing that, Jess, because I think that's a really important one. Now, ladies, before we wind up today, you've got a wonderful corporate workshop offering that you want to speak about. So why don't you tell us about what's going on with Wander in the Workplace?
Sure thing. Nat, do you want me to take it, or you want to go for it?
Oh, you take it, and then I can add off of you too. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, perfect. Well, as you guys know, Nat and I co-founded the Wonder Within Retreat series, and we decided that we wanted to take the program and turn it into both a full day or a half day corporate workshop as a way to get more of this beautiful, juicy health and wellness into the workplace. And what people get in these programs, you get yoga, meditation, healthy recipes. We do health lectures, and we even have special guests come in for sound healing and other fun activities, just whatever the group needs. And so if you feel like this could be a good program for your corporation, we'd love to hear from you. We have an amazing discount. If you mention GTC, you get $100 off the price. We just really are passionate about bringing health and wellness to the workplace, and we're hoping that you'll feel inspired after this episode and want to work together.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. So we're going to offer this to all of our listeners today, aren't we?
Definitely.
Yes.
Good. Nat, have you got anything else you want to add about this?
Yeah, I think Jess really covered everything about it, and a big reason too that we have started this program is many people know that Jess and I, we've led retreats. We led one in Thailand together last year, the Water Within program, and we led a virtual retreat. Even aside from those retreats, for myself personally, and I know Jess can relate, our clients, when they've come to us, even individually, the main reason is stress. And then when I ask what's causing that stress, it's work. And that's 99.9, I think, % of people that I've worked with, and even same with Jess, that I'm sure like Jess can attest for, that Jess has worked with, and we've seen it at our retreats. So by creating a program where everybody can come together and have their own virtual retreat or their own little virtual workshop within their corporation, just to give some healthy tips and advice and exercises that they can really implement, not just that day, but moving forward, is our goal.
Fantastic. And we've got an offer for all the Global Travel Channel listeners, which is $100 off the price. So we're going to put the details for the workshop in the show notes today so everybody can connect with that. What a fantastic idea. Thank you both for coming up with that. And we have some very exciting news to share with our audience today, don't we? Because next time we get together, we're going to be doing a video show, aren't we?
Yes.
We are. I'm so excited. It's going to feel like you guys are right next to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a little bit terrified because I've got two gorgeous ladies, and you've got to put up with my ugly mutt in there as well. So we might actually black me out and just have the two ladies sitting there, and I can carry on the audio side. But in all seriousness, what we're going to do is we're going to ask a lot for our audience to engage with us. So if you want to have specific things addressed through the Wellness Show, why don't you drop us a note now through social media and tell us what you'd like us to cover, and we'll make sure we have it in the next show for you. So you've got a little bit of pre-warning, and then when we do the show next time, you're actually going to be able to comment and give us feedback. So that's going to be one of the new technical advances we're coming up with for the Global Travel Channel Wellness Series in the next show, which is going to be probably in August, ladies. Is that right?
I think so.
It sure is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, it's been fantastic having you both again today on the show. It's been great talking about wander within the workplace and all those wonderful tips. We're going to categorize those all in the show notes for people to have a look at today, and we'll put in the supplements that Jess and Natalie were talking about as well. So thank you, ladies, very much for joining me again today. It's been fantastic as always, and we're trying to create a healthy lifestyle for everybody out there listening to the show, and we'll be back again soon with another episode.
Woo.
We can't wait.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
Right, bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
There we are. That was Natalie and Jessica joining me for the latest in our Global Travel Channel Wellness Series. I hope you enjoyed that particular episode, and don't forget to check out the show notes for all the things that we said we were going to list. They are there for you right now to help you get on track with a healthy lifestyle and perhaps change your life altogether. Don't forget, we're going to be going into video format next time, so you'll be able to see us all and drop your comments in and let us know what you want to know about on the health and wellness series, and I'll make sure the girls cover it for you. If you're looking for more episodes from the Global Travel Channel, head on over to our website at globaltravelchannel.com. Over 150 episodes of inspiring guests who I've spoken to across the world about their amazing travel experiences. And coming up soon, we have the amazing food series. Yes, Dion Taylor is our resident chef at the moment, and he's going to be bringing us another sumptuous recipe to all cook up. So stay tuned and look out for that one. Well, until next time, this episode is all over. My name's Mark Philpott. I look forward to being back with you all again very soon on the Global Travel Channel. Until then, stay safe, stay positive, and stay well, everybody. Bye for now.